Hello everyone, Dan the 14th Prime here. Want to share with you today the Play Arts Batman vs. Superman Batman figure number 1. Here you can see the front of the box, some cool artwork there. Looks like the Batman standing in some rain with the bat signal behind him, some light flash behind him. Here's a closer look at that Play Arts logo in the corner, which is pretty cool. You can see around the box they're just carrying that dark color. There you've got the number 1 in the series. Flip it around the back here, and they've got some photos of the figure there, really. So some product shots, which are pretty cool. And then not much over here on this side. So let's spin it around. And then what's cool about this packaging is you can actually just slide open this front cover. And there's the figure. So on the inside of the flap, you've got, again, another product shot with a lot of text over there, which I'll let you pause and read. And over on the figure side of the box, it's hard to see in there, it's dark, but you got a clear plastic window. You can see some hands on the right and some various accessories on the left, like the grapple gun, batarang, etc. Of course, the figure through the center there. And down the bottom, it just has this kind of frosting effect down into the logo. So pretty cool. But let's go ahead and pop this open and get this guy out of there. So here he is out of the box. Play Arts Batman vs. Superman. This is about a 9-inch figure, so a really good sized figure, very highly articulated, a lot of nice detail, which we'll all look at a little bit closer. If you're buying him from an in-states e-tailer, you know he's probably around $150 plus shipping. If you're going direct to Japan, like an Anaheim export, you can pre-order them for probably $100, and then you're probably paying $20 for shipping. So somewhere between call $125 to $150 something, let's say, type figure. So I think in terms of figures, a pretty interesting scaling at 9 inches and price point that you don't get a lot of, right? Above it's Hot Toys, below it's a lot like the Mayfex or other kind of $50-ish figures. So kind of alone in its own little spot here. A really nice figure, a lot of dramatic effect there with the cape you can see kind of just flowing from the back. Here you can take a shot at the side angle, and you can really see that cape flowing around. Here you can see the wide angle of the back. What you can't quite tell yet, but I'll show you, is the cape is in 2 articulated pieces, so you can get a lot of movement with it, and it will actually separate to a point if you'd like it to. But you can also make it look like one nice flowing cape like I have there. And then finally here, the other angle. And all I can say is I spin him around there. I mean, really good balance for having a big rubber cape on his back. There's no worries of this guy really falling backwards in a straight stand-up pose right now, which so many figures love to do when you're just trying to museum pose them and they've got a cape on. But this guy, really good balance. Let's take a close-up look at the face sculpt here, the head sculpt. I think it's pretty good. It's not the best piece of the overall figure. I think there's a lot more about the figure that I like better than the head sculpt and the face and the likeness. But you can see, it's a good Batman look. You got the short ears from the movie. I think probably the best thing is like the eyes effect in there. You can see his eyes detailed inside the mask there. So that looks super cool. I think the facial expression's kind of, whatever. Not great, doesn't suck. It's just kind of blah. But that's all right. It looks good from the side. I mean, that looks pretty good right there for sure. So, I think the head overall look is good. When you start to get in close and look at the face and stuff, I think that's okay. But very cool with the eyes for sure. And overall, works for the figure. A lot of other pluses really make up for what makes the figure great. I think the head and the face is definitely satisfactory for sure. So if we take a spin down the figure, you can see some of the detailing. You got the cape come across the shoulders there. Nice effect. The bat suit looks super cool. I mean, just all kinds. It's got all those right details in there. It's plastic, the suit. It's basically a plastic and rubber figure. But they did a lot of detailed molding and paint apps to get the right look. So it really looks good. See all that molding detailed in there, kind of that thatching effect on the suit. And then, gray paint and brown paint effect on it for some wear. Looks really cool. I think the belt is really nice. There you can see the forms. I mean, there'll be a couple of nits I'll have, like how they do the joint effects. And the figure is superposable, right? I'll show you that. But some of these joints, like there at the elbow, big ball joint, great articulation, but you know, it comes at a little bit of sacrifice for the look, because that's kind of pretty glaring and obvious joint effect. The belt coming down looks really good. I think they got the paint right there. You know, could be more of a lighter kind of dollar gold, probably. I've seen a lot of different types of paint used for it. I'll be interested to see the Hot Toys paint look. But this is definitely one of the brighter ones I've seen. I'm just going to jump down because it is a 9-inch figure, so you can see some of this a little bit closer. A lot of good detailing of the legs, a lot of muscle in there. Got the knee pad effect on, cool. And then down to the boots, and he's got the proper kind of gold toe effect as well. And this is the other area, down in those ankle joints, where you can see also some more ball joint action that's not covered as well, like the elbows. So it's kind of the elbow area, inner elbow, and kind of ankle joints, where you see some pretty glaring, you know, ball joints to aid in the articulation that would be nice if they could be covered a little better. Here you can check them out from that side angle view. And the arms look super cool. I mean, the shoulder, a lot of detail in there, and then they've got the color for the wear effect and dirt effect. Looks really good. The gauntlet looks good. Here's one area where I've just seen typically some gold accent paint on these, you call them, but kind of wing effects of the gauntlets. It's not there. So it's on the knuckles, where I've always seen it. It's on the toes. The belt, of course, typically I'm seeing it on the glove there as well, off the wings, and they didn't add that effect. Just something I noticed, not something I really care about. But there you can see down into the legs as far as you can before the cape starts to wrap around. And you can see a lot of the nice detailing they did on the cape to give a dirt effect, weathered effect off the bottom of the cape. Here's the back of that cape. A lot of nice detail, and again, very posable. So there's actually, this kind of is a molded piece of plastic or rubber, sorry. That as well, and this one as well. And then actually underneath there, you can see how these then two pieces are each on separate ball joints. They can spin around and rotate, flip out, do different things, which I'll show you. So that's kind of how the back is put together. And it just comes down again into those two separate pieces, which are currently overlapping. Big dramatic effect with the cape. And then the side of the figure is left side, you know, what can I say, is as good as the right? So a lot of great detailing through the arm. Same paint application style, big, wrapping, flowing cape. So let me show you some of the articulation. Let's start with the head. I'll come in a little bit closer so you can see he's definitely got a lot of posability in the head. He's got a neck, you know, that moves side to side inside of the kind of chest cavity there. So that spins around, rolls around, does all kinds of stuff. So that's cool. Of course, then his head will turn side to side as well, both at the neck and then kind of up at the top joint as well. So a lot of flexibility there. One thing I wish he could do a little bit better was look up. He doesn't really look up. The back of the head just hits the neck. So you don't get much up at all, but you get a lot of down. So you can basically look chin on the chest all the way down. So that's cool. So a lot of articulation, not everything, but you know, 80-90% of what's even possible is there. Everything but looking up is there. So great articulation there. It's got quite a bit through the torso as well. You can see he's got kind of a diaphragm joint here. The one thing I don't like about it is if you try to lean him back a little bit to kind of have him looking up or sticking his chest out, it opens up that gap. So don't love that. Wish that could be covered a little bit more, maybe with the underside piece coming up higher. Could have helped solve that, because it would be nice to give him, since his head doesn't go up, a little bit of ability to do that without showing that gap. But otherwise, you know, he can go side to side and really just swivel around on that diaphragm joint. And then he's got the waist on top of that as well. And you even get some rocking in on the waist too. So you can see how that's going in. And that crunches down. So you get two effects, two layers, if you will, of that type of movement, which then gives, you know, a lot of good crunch. You can even hear it click in there. Quite a bit of bend over because the waist area will come down, and then so will the diaphragm. So you also, of course, get some good arm movement. Now the lateral isn't perfect. I mean, you can get good lateral. It definitely starts to get up into that cape area, but you can get some. Definitely not 90 degrees, but close. You know, 70 degrees, let's say. Come here, he's got, you know, that elbow bends pretty well for him. There's a swivel up here at the shoulder, kind of bicep swivel. Of course, at the forearm, it does basically a 360. So you get some up here. It's a little bit tough, but it actually moves pretty well, almost unnaturally. So you can do it quite a bit there if you need to. A lot at the elbow and forearm, and then the wrist as well here. It's basically on a ball joint, because that's another area where you get some kind of ugly ball joint display. Not sure if I pointed that one out earlier. It's the elbow, the wrist, and then the ankle, where you get that kind of nasty ball joint. The hands don't articulate, but there's separate hand accessories, which I'll show you, so you can do different things like hold a batarang, grapnel blaster, etc. In terms of his legs, again, quite a bit here as well. Up in the hip, it's basically on a kind of a ball joint with some ratcheting effect. And it can actually go so far as to pop out, but you can pop it back in if that happens. But you get that up about 90 degrees. You can get his legs to go out. And it's doing this is how you'd probably pop it out. But you can see you can get that. Do some split effect. You know, you get it to go back a little bit even. So pretty good. That line right there is, of course, a thigh swivel. So you get some articulation there. You do a double joint knee, so you get the knee all the way back for some great posability. You can get some twisting kind of up into the thigh area as well, not just at the swivel. Coming down the foot, again, one of my complaints, it's got the ball joint effect there. It goes everywhere, which is great, right? But it just, and you can see it pretty well there, it just doesn't look very good. But that's the price of a lot of good posability. And the ankle, it'll ratchet up and down. You can see his toes even do an up effect there. Point the toe, swivel it. So I think everything's there you're going to need. And again, let's just come around back of the figure. I showed you this a little bit before, but the cape's got some articulation inside. When you get all this out of the way, just so you can see it underneath there, you know, he's got a pretty decent suit beneath that point. So that's all well molded, painted, and articulated, and the belt looks good in the back as well. It's just when you're up here that you get that kind of ugly effect, but you won't be up there often. So again, up here you can see this thing will spin around and has a ratchet effect as well to kind of give you some side to side. So that's how they're separated right now. And you can get those kind of going just all over the place and spinning as well. So a lot of cool cape articulation for dramatic posing. So let me show you some of the extras that this guy comes with now. He comes with this stand, some assembly required. I'm not really messing with it for this video, but for good dynamic posing, this could come in quite handy. Over here on this side of the box, it basically shows you how to assemble that stand, and kind of punch line there in the bottom right corner. You get a nice wide base with an adjustable kind of stem and a hook to kind of grab the figure. So that'd be good for a lot of jumping type poses. And then the other flap of that box shows you the hand accessories and how they just plug on and off. The wrist, which I'll show you, shows you the grapnel blaster there, kind of a grenade looking thing. And batarang. And then for the grapnel blaster, there's also this hook piece. So let's check these out. So here's one of the extra right hands. You can see black glove, gold knuckles again. This is the hand that will hold the grapnel blaster. So it's kind of like a gun holding hand with a trigger finger. So we'll check that out with the grapnel blaster on it. I'll show you the blaster closer up here later in a second. But let me just go ahead and show you the grip effect that has when holding the gun. Easiest just to kind of wedge it right in through here and slip it in. Then it has a right and left hand like this. Again, you can see same detailing, all well done. And it's kind of this sort of slightly open hand. And this is the hands. Let me show you the left one here as well. They're identical, just left and right hands. These are the hands that will hold the grenade. And I'll show you the grenade closer in a second, but this is probably just one of these kryptonite grenades, and he's able to grasp that just like that. And then finally he has this right hand, and this right hand is kind of got this pinching effect, and it is to hold the batarang. So you can grab the batarang and just slide that into his hand like so for some throwing poses. And then just in terms of putting these many hands on, it's a pretty simple peg system. So you just pull it right off. That was super easy. And pop the other one back on. So let's look at some of the gadgets. We all love Batman's gadgets. So he comes with this grenade, really small. This would probably be, again, probably like one of these kryptonite grenades. A lot of cool detailing. You can see some red paint in there. This is the batarang. They went with silver. It's got some black lines through it. Very well sculpted. You can see kind of sharp ears and tail, sharp wings. So it really looks nice. Basically the same on both sides, but really sharp looking batarang. Then finally we have the grapnel blaster. So this is a pretty cool thing. The Mattel figures, there's a collect and connect for this thing. So pretty popular piece. It's getting put on him in a few different ways. You can see a lot of nice detailing through here. Kind of a gunmetal color, silver color, wood handle. The handle could have been a little bit better done with the wood effect. It's basically just brown with some holes in it. So they could have did a little bit more there. But yeah, looks really, really cool, especially through here. And then they give you this hook for the grapnel blaster. So they give you the grapnel, right? No string or anything, but it just plugs right into the bottom there. And then you get the full effect, which is pretty sharp looking. Gotta say, it's a really nice accessory. They put all their effort kind of up through here. Would have liked a little something more on the handle, but really sharp looking accessory. So let me show you a few poses with this guy, and I'll show you some of his strengths and weaknesses. We'll start off with some of the weaknesses here. So this would be a pose I'd love for him to hit with the grapnel blaster kind of shooting up like he's gonna hook off a building. Here's some of the problems. A, his head doesn't look up. So I'll give you another angle in a minute, but you know, I've showed you before, he can't look up. So that's an issue. B, when you start to stretch him out like that, you get this gap opening up in his chest. So you can't really do these kind of toward the sky type poses with him, which is unfortunate. I will say though, as I have him posed up like this, the balance is really good on the figure. Like being able to pose the cape like that actually helps you be able to put it in a spot where you get good balance. Being able to move the feet around like that. You can see I've got him up on his toe, right foot. Helps with the balance. The only other thing I noticed as I put this on is between the grapnel blaster and the batarang, you have to choose one or the other. So I wanted to put the batarang in the left hand, but you only get a right hand for it, so that's a limitation as well. But overall, you know, it looks like it could be so much there, but the gap in the head, which you can see better from this angle, just, you know, kind of looking forward because I can't get him to go up. Cool effect with the cape though. Now here would be a pose where we're really playing to this guy's strengths. We're leveraging that torso and diaphragm tilt and twist effect, so I look like I've got him kind of dodging a little bit to his right. Got some head tilt in there as well, which gives a great sort of body directional effect, so that all looks awesome. You can push out the cape like he's really in motion, lean him, you know, the great balance, and you can really get the knees out and the thigh out to really give him that lean and dodge effect. So that looks really, really sharp right there. Great pose, beautiful balance. So here's another good pose, kind of playing to his strengths again. I've got him in the wind up, if you will, for throwing the batarang up in the right hand. So I've kind of got him looking like he's a pitcher. So you guys tell me, but he's kind of still rocking back, starting to move forward. So I've got the cape sort of flowing more to this side because that's where the motion would be. In terms of the stretch, you can get him back a little bit in terms of reaching with the arm and a little bit kind of in the chest to give him that lean back effect. So I think, again, overall, pretty good looking ability to hold a pose like this. Let's check this out from a couple angles. And this, if nothing else, should demonstrate just the great balance of the figure. Pretty basic fighting pose here, but I've got the cape fully kind of back and as wide as I can kind of get it in this pose at least. So a lot of flare in the back. The cape is split. You can't tell that from this angle that well. You know, a little bit of a gap between his legs maybe. But it gives a dramatic cape effect. And again, he can balance, you know, without the stand. So you can see this from a few different angles. You can see how I have him from the back, and that gap is much more noticeable. But on a front-on pose, that's kind of the sacrifice you make to get that big flaring cape. And then there you can see how that's looking from this side as well. Here just showing you some of that flexibility and crunchability. Looks like he's hitting some sit-ups or something, but I was just trying to see if you can actually like get him in the fetal position almost. But I mean, he can come up pretty well like that. You just can't quite get the legs, you know, the thighs all the way up, but you can really kind of ball this guy up. And from there I can just adjust him into this kneeling type of pose. Again, it looks cool, like he's kind of getting up from being knocked down maybe when he's fighting. Again, and the head being able to look up a little bit more here would be a nice feature. So there you have it, guys. The Play Arts Dawn of Justice Batman versus Superman. Figure number 1, Batman. Super highly posable, plastic rubber, very well detailed and painted figure, 9 inches tall. For probably somewhere between $125, $150, depending on where you're sourcing from. I think if you like dynamic posing, if you like good detail, you know, the figure's got a lot to offer. If you don't like going all the way up for Hot Toys, if you want something better than kind of the Mafex or other type figures, I mean, this is a really nice 9-inch figure. Good size, great posability. I think it's overall really nice piece. So if you haven't checked one of these things out before, this would be a great one to try. Definitely recommend it. Great figure. All right, guys, thanks for checking out the video. I'll see you next time.